We are so small in this world. Our lives are so short. This seriousness that our mind is clinging onto so tightly is what makes life feel so heavy and hard and difficult. It's what keeps us feeling like we're paddling upstream. Our mind immediately just thinks like, oh, but then we have to stop caring. And then we stop showing up. Like if we don't take it seriously, then we're not going to be successful. When we cling so tightly and are super serious about needing an outcome to look a certain way, that's actually just our distrust in life. Look at kids. They don't know how life is going to go. They don't even know the outcome of the game that they're playing. They are just present in the experience of the game. We can take the same productive steps, but with lightness and with flow and with more compassion for ourselves. Life isn't meant to feel this serious and heavy. So my grandmother, I call her Yaya because I'm half Greek. She is one of my favorite people. And a big reason of that is because of just the demeanor and mindset and approach that she has about life. Essentially, she just approaches life with this lightness and just this humor and carefree nature. And she's always offering me the advice, just be happy, right? Just enjoy life, honey. And I feel like it's really only recently where I've truly started to see and feel the power of that advice. It sounds so simple, but essentially what she's conveying to me is to take life less seriously, right? Take the pressure off. Don't try to be so perfect. Don't try to find that perfect partner. Don't try to make life need to look a certain way before you start to just enjoy life and be happy with life. And my mom growing up, thinking back, was always giving me a similar piece of advice. It was framed differently. She would always just tell me, just let it go. And while that advice used to piss me off because I was like, but I'm upset and you're not honoring my feelings, it also has so much wisdom in that simplicity. Because essentially what she's saying is like, just allow it, just let it go, right? Take the pressure off, take life a little bit less seriously. And that is what we're going to talk about today. Because as I'm going to share with you, our mind has a way of taking things really seriously, right? And just having this heaviness and gravity and life or death and right or wrong and black and white nature to life that can feel really heavy. And it can make life feel really serious and have a lot more gravity and feel a lot more detrimental than it needs to be. I think we can all create a little bit more room for lightness and fun and happiness and joy. But before I dive into this with you, what I want to share right off the bat is what this isn't. What this doesn't mean is that we don't take things seriously, that we don't value things, that we avoid life, that we avoid commitment, that we never show up consistently to things. It doesn't mean any of that. This doesn't mean we don't care and don't have depth in our lives. In fact, I'm going to share with you why this actually can deepen the depth that we have in life, but not in a way that feels so heavy, right? Not in a way where we're constantly suffering and paddling upstream and feeling like this huge pressure that we put on ourselves in life. Today, we're going to take life less seriously. And I'm going to share with you why and how and all the things. And before I do, if you are new here, welcome to Fulfilled. My name is Camille, and I'm so grateful that this show found you and this specific message found you today. Trust that it is for a reason. If you are new, take this moment to press follow or subscribe wherever you are listening or watching the show. This will give you access to episodes every single Monday and Thursday when I release them to help inspire and support you in creating a life that truly feels aligned and fulfilling to you. And if you are returning, thank you as always for taking this time and space for you today. Again, if you haven't already, press follow or subscribe. Most of you listening aren't. And this will mean you get first access to episodes on your growth journey. And 2 quick other ways you can send me and Fulfilled some support today is to send this to someone in your life who you love, who might really resonate with this message or with the show, and leave a rating or comment on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you are listening or watching. Again, I'm sending so much love and gratitude to you all, and let's dive in. Let's talk about taking life less seriously. Let's take the pressure off of ourselves to create space for just more fun and joy and flow. So we talked about what this isn't. Right? Again, what this isn't is avoiding life and never committing to life and not caring or not valuing things in life. But what this is shifting away from the seriousness that we attach to everything. And one thing I want to share with you here is the difference of seriousness versus depth, because I think we can associate both with the same thing, but they're actually different. Seriousness is a lack of playfulness and lightness, whereas depth can be playful and light, but also full of presence and meaning and connectedness. Depth allows us to go beneath the surface, but not in a way that feels so heavy. Whereas seriousness always feels heavy because we don't allow in the fun and joy and flow and lightness that we're meant to feel in life. And I'm going to share with you why in a little bit here. But another thing about seriousness is it doesn't even necessarily mean that we go deep. We can be serious about life and just stay on the surface. And what's the point in that, right? Like, what fun is that? In preparing for this episode, I saw this kind of beautiful insight from Alan Watts, an old philosopher, and he shares that life is this musical thing, right? We're supposed to be just singing and dancing through life and enjoying each moment as it goes, not rushing to the end. Life is this musical dance where we welcome in joy and flow and just allow ourselves to open our hearts to every experience. And the biggest example here that I'll continue to come back to is look at kids, right? Look at children playing. There's a reason why kids always prioritize fun and always prioritize play and imagination and just have this kind of lightness and carefree nature, because that is our nature. That is essentially what life is about, leaning into fun and welcoming in joy and flow. But if you look at kids also while they're playing a game, they are invested in the game, right? Like they are just fully there and fully present. They have depth there. But what they don't have is this seriousness, right? Like they have this light and playful nature and energy whenever they're immersing themselves in a game, but not in a way where it feels like work, not in this kind of like heavy way that often causes us to suffer. Or even look at adulthood, right? Like if you're out to dinner with a friend, you could be having this just like deeply present conversation with your friend, but it doesn't necessarily need to mean that it's really heavy, right? And that it feels so serious. You could be pausing to laugh and just have this lightfulness and play and joke around with each other, but have the depth of connection in that conversation. Essentially, what I'm getting at here is taking life less seriously doesn't mean that we don't have depth and meaning in our lives. Like if I look at my life, I'm very much in this era of softening, and I'm actively practicing taking life less and less seriously. And actually, my mom pointed out in a recent visit just this last week, she's like, you really don't get bothered by things as much as you used to. And I sat with that for a little bit, and it was a compliment because I was like, you're right. I really don't. I used to take life so much more seriously. And I used to put this pressure on life needing to look a certain way, whether it comes to the podcast or my relationships or just needing to feel like everything was in order all of the time and that I had this certainty. But in taking the pressure off and in softening, and again, I'm going to share with you how in a little bit, I have noticed that I don't get as upset or bothered when things don't go my way. But as you can imagine, both in life coaching and the kind of topics I talk about here on Fulfilled in the self-improvement podcast, and just in the relationships in my life where we do value deep things and connection, I have a lot of depth in life, right? And there is a lot of me going deep in a lot of my days. And it's something I really love and value. But that's different than this heaviness of seriousness. And so my life feels like an example of that. Like there's plenty of depth, but it's depth in a way that feels empowering and light. And I welcome in so much more fun and joy now. So I wanted to paint the picture a little bit more as to what taking life less seriously really means and what it doesn't. Because I think when we first hear that phrase, our mind immediately just thinks like, oh, but then we have to stop caring. And then we stop showing up. Like if we don't take it seriously, then we're not going to be successful. But that's not the case. What this essentially means is we just let go of the self-seriousness, right? We let go of identifying so strongly to circumstances in life as they unfold. And we let go of clinging to this meaning or need when it comes to every part of our lives. Essentially, we welcome in the sense of detachment. Detachment means that we just have this lightness, AKA we're welcoming more trust. Because when we allow life to unfold and have this lightness as life unfolds, we're trusting in the way life unfolds. Whereas when we cling so tightly and are super serious about needing an outcome to look a certain way, that's actually just our distrust in life. And so in taking life less seriously, allowing and letting things go a little bit more, right? Not reacting, not attaching our identity and needing to control every part of life so much. In a sense, that's really us trusting in life. And that's really a lighter way to live. And that's how we allow in this space for fun and joy and flow. Like, again, look at kids. They don't know how life is going to go. They don't even know the outcome of the game that they're playing. They are just present in the experience of the game. So before I share with you how you can take life less seriously and how I've really taken life less seriously in this softening era that I really want to invite you all into as well, let's talk about the blocks. Let's talk about the things that the mind is convincing us of that get in the way of us taking life less seriously. Or better said, the things that are keeping us clinging to this seriousness, adding this unnecessary suffering and heaviness to our lives. Why do we do it? What happened to our childlike nature of play and flow and this ease of just welcoming fun and joy into our life? Why do we have this guilt associated with it now? Essentially, the problem is our mind. Our mind is always looking to control external circumstances. Our mind is always clinging to certainty. And so it thinks that it needs to understand and control life in order to have that certainty. And so what we do is we suppress the natural flow and our desires as they arise because we choose to cling to that certainty instead. We choose to try to control the external circumstance instead. We do what, quote, makes sense. And what it always causes us to do also is always look for the problem, right? Look for the things that we need to fix in order to control, to make sure that we're staying in that box of certainty. But again, what this is doing is just feeding our distrust in life, right? We're essentially feeding that belief that we need to be in control of how life goes because otherwise we don't know how it's going to go. So essentially in this attempt to control and understand life and make sure we stay in that certainty, we end up suppressing our desires because a lot of our desires means that we would be welcoming in uncertainty. But as I've spoken to in previous episodes, it's our desires and those intuitive nudges that are here to guide us. So in one chapter in the Gene Keys, as I've shared in a previous episode, it's this spiritual guide that I'm really immersing myself in that I'm loving. It shares how when we suppress our desires, we actually lean more into this seriousness and can often become over serious because we're clinging to this control and trying to manufacture and make life look a certain way while suppressing our desires. And the more we suppress those desires and those yearnings and that inner guidance, the more we're putting out that inner fire and excitement and passion within us. And if we suppress our desires long enough, then we do just become over serious. And life feels so heavy and serious because maybe we no longer even know how to tune into our desires. Maybe we've crafted our entire lives based on just needing to have certainty in the control and doing what we think we, quote, should. Seeing life as so black and white or right or wrong. Seeing things that don't go our way as things to fix and problems to dwell on. Again, adding to that gravity and seriousness. Our mind likes to overcomplicate everything and make everything feel so difficult. And so we think that life needs to be a struggle and that we need to always be paddling upstream and keeping up with things. But what we're not doing is we're not allowing in this trust and this flow. And in this kind of black and white distinction too, what we've also separated is work and fun, right? We see it as so black and white that when we're working, we can't allow in any fun and lightness and joy and flow. But when we're not working, it's all fun and light and unwinding, right? But life is in the gray. It really wasn't meant to be so black and white. And I think it's a big reason why a lot of us are burning ourselves out, right? Because maybe we're leaning so much into work, or maybe we're leaning all entirely into fun and lacking a little bit of that meaning. It's about incorporating both in the middle, right? Having that meaning and purpose, but allowing in the fun and joy. This seriousness that our mind is clinging onto so tightly is what makes life feel so heavy and hard and difficult. It's what keeps us feeling like we're paddling upstream. And so now let's start to shift. What we need to create more space for is for our desires to emerge, because our desires have that fun and joy and lightness. And we can start to turn down the volume of the seriousness and the gravity and the control and need for that certainty that our mind is always clinging to, aka taking life less seriously. Because here's the thing, as kids are always showing us, and that we all need to remind ourselves of, is that life is meant to be fun. Life is meant to feel like this flow, and we are meant to welcome in joy and lightness. It's not meant to feel like constant suffering and heaviness. So we have a choice in every moment in life, especially when things don't go our way externally, right? The first choice is to close down, right? To shut down, to get upset, to resist, and to try to externally change and fix and force it to go back, to make sure that it fits in our mold of what we need it to look like to stay in that certainty. Or we can take the pressure off. We can surrender and trust how it's naturally unfolding. We can welcome in a little bit of lightness and open our hearts to just get curious as to what's unfolding. And that second one, that is the path of lightness. That is the path to allow in more fun and joy and flow. That is us taking life less seriously. But clinging to the seriousness means that we're feeding that distrust and means that we think that we need to continue to paddle upstream and make it look a certain way. So now that we know the main things getting in the way, right? The tricks that our mind plays on us, let's talk about some of these key beliefs that are keeping us taking life too seriously, and then shift. I want to share with you some powerful practices so that you can take the pressure off yourself in life and welcome in more of this flow and ease and joy. Ones that have been powerful in my life as well in this softening era. So the first one is that life needs to be hard, right? That we always need to be paddling upstream and that life is always feeling difficult. And that is the path to success. But the shift I want to offer you is, what if it were easy? What if this didn't need to be so difficult? Again, our mind always tries to overcomplicate things. It's always looking for the complicated solution because we think that the answer needs to be complicated. But one of my clients is always saying at the end of our session, when we get to these powerful shifts and insights, she's like, every time it's just so simple. It's like often the real solution, it is simple. It is easy. It's just letting go of this seriousness that actually isn't serving us, but just adding more heaviness and difficulty to our lives. Like truly, how is this seriousness serving us? Can't we take the same steps and commit to something and be consistent on something, but also just do it in a playful and lighter manner? Like even when I sit down to do the podcast, in the beginning, I did have this seriousness where I was like, it needs to be perfect and I need to be coming across a certain way, right? And like, what are they going to think of me? And maybe I should re-record that episode because it wasn't perfect. And now I'm just like, even when I sit to record and it wasn't my best, right? Maybe I'm not feeling as in flow, or I say something where I'm like, could have said that better. I just kind of like take a step back and I'm like, all right, gotta laugh at that. And did I essentially share the message that I felt called to share? Yes. Is this message going to inspire people and help them feel less alone and resonate with them? Yeah. Okay, great. Then I can take the pressure off it needing to look perfect. And what that does is it adds this ease and lightness to the process. Because I'm taking the pressure off it needing to be so difficult and be this perfect thing. And so just by asking ourselves the question, when we notice this resistance come up or this heaviness come up, what would this look like if it were easy? How can I allow this to just flow? And that's, again, coming back to trust, right? It's turning down the volume on that distrust and trust that the outcome will naturally unfold if we focus on the process. Another belief to challenge here is that there's not room for fun, or that fun needs to be after we're serious and productive and get the quote work done. But again, that is feeding this separation of work and seriousness and the rest of our lives. Whereas the shift here is, let's look at the kids, right? Like they prioritize the fun and the flow and the joy. And we don't tell them that they're doing something wrong. When did it become the case that our nature needs to be so serious? Even in The Untethered Soul, a book that's been very impactful and powerful for me, in there, Michael Singer shares, our work can also be fun, right? Like we can bring this fun and joy and lightness and flow to the work that we do. When did work need to become this like serious thing? Why can't we enjoy the process of all of it? Enjoy 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and our evenings and our weekends. Make it more of this gray area where we welcome in this less seriousness, light and fun nature into everything that we do. And so that's the shift there, right? Not separating work and play so much, but bringing the play into our work. A helpful way to do that is to essentially notice when that seriousness and heaviness and even resistance is coming up for us and just kind of soften in the moment, right? Pause and remind ourselves, there is a way that this can be easy. There is a way that this can flow. How can I create space for a little bit more lightness here? Maybe laugh at that mistake that you made, right? Just like laugh at the circumstance that didn't perfectly go your way, because That is what lightness is, right? It's welcoming room for laughter and just joy and flow and ease. And when we laugh at things, we're allowing in that lightness versus an old version of us who might have just gotten really upset and closed off and just felt really heavy from that circumstance. And another really powerful shift here too is, and just a quick aside, if you are resonating with today's message, if you feel like you've been putting this incessant pressure on your life to stick to a certain path, abide by the shoulds, make sure that you're in control of your life, but maybe the path that you're on and how you're living your life feels really heavy, feels like you're paddling upstream. Maybe you're noticing desires emerge for you, but maybe you're scared to step into them, or maybe you don't even know how to create space for them in your life. If you're craving more lightness and flow and to truly start to take steps down a path that feels authentic, exciting, and aligned to you, that is exactly the work that I do in my one-on-one life coaching practice. I help you get clarity on what you really want, uncover the blocks and beliefs that are getting in the way of you living this life that you want, and finally, we bridge the gap to make this your reality. But this is not just about taking external action. This is about actually embodying this version of you who's really wanting to come up, this version of you who lives in this flow and lightness and radiates this confidence and attracts everything that they really want. This is an inside out approach. So if any of that resonates with you, if you're curious to learn more, you can check out the link in the show notes below to learn more about one-on-one life coaching with me. And if your intuition is calling you towards this, and if you want to connect with me, book a one-on-one free clarity session. You can book that on my website where we help you get clarity right on that call and really paint the picture as to what this looks like for you and all that is possible for you right now. I would love to support you on your journey. All right, let's get back to the episode. Zooming out, recognizing that life is so short, and this circumstance that we might be closing our hearts to in this moment and getting worked up about and having this serious tunnel vision about needing it to go a certain way, this is just a tiny, tiny, tiny little blip on top of another tiny blip in a whole world of millions and millions of blips. Like, we are so small in this world, in this lifetime, and our lives are so short. And this small instance in our life that we might be getting really serious and worked up about, it probably won't matter tomorrow, let alone next week, let alone a year from now. And so what's the harm in approaching it with this kind of lightness now, in starting to let it go now and just kind of laugh at it? The seriousness doesn't change the circumstance or the outcome. The seriousness just adds heaviness to it, and it really doesn't serve us. We can take the same productive steps, but with lightness and with flow and with more compassion for ourselves, right? Laughing at our mistakes and having more love and acceptance for how life is unfolding with this sense of trust. And that also radiates to others, right? Accepting others as they are instead of needing them to be a certain way. Last few powerful shifts I want to offer you here is just like what Alan Watts said that I shared earlier. Instead of rushing through life and needing to get to a certain outcome in order to take a deep breath and feel okay, what if we shifted to just enjoying this experience for it as it is right now? Maybe that's with our relationships too, right? Not waiting until you find that perfect person, but enjoy the dates as they're unfolding. Enjoy the friends that you have in your life right now. Accept and love your partner as they are instead of always trying to change them and kind of have this tunnel vision on the problems or the things that you would change about the person, but just enjoy and soften and let go of this incessant clinging to the outcome or needing it to look a certain way. And what that allows us to do is it creates space for us to just come back to the process and actually enjoy the experience of life as it's unfolding. Because that's really the purpose of life when you think about it, right? Like, life is this game and we're all just here to experience every experience and to have fun and be happy along the way. And again, that doesn't mean that we don't care about things. It doesn't mean that we don't value commitment and consistency. It doesn't mean that we're avoiding deeper meaning in life. It means we create space to experience life as it's unfolding and in a way that feels good, right? In a way that feels lighter and in flow and where we welcome in fun and joy in our life. Another quote I read this week is, God's will for us is for us to be happy. Life isn't meant to feel this serious and heavy. We can have this depth and meaning while also prioritizing lightness and fun and flow. And so this is your invitation, your reminder to take the pressure off life, take the pressure off yourself and others and circumstances, and let life flow. You don't need things to be perfect. You don't need to wait for that certainty to feel okay. Couple mantras that can help contribute to this softness and taking life less seriously. Done is better than perfect. This shall pass, right? This is just a blip. This is only a problem if I choose to make it one. And nobody's thinking about you, right? If you're bogged down by that worry of what other people think, just remember in a very kind way, no one really cares. A big way that I really apply this in my life is to just turn down that volume on my mind trying to overthink and overlogic my way through life and come back to this trust and just open my heart to circumstances and experiences as they're unfolding with this lightness, right? I laugh at myself more and I just kind of like accept circumstances that don't feel perfect, reminding myself that this is an experience that I meant to experience. And this is a way that I meant to grow and continue to challenge myself to soften and create space for more lightness and joy. And so coming back to my grandma, she just turned 94. And on top of that, she smoked about a pack of cigarettes a day from ages 18 to, 82, 85. And she is still healthy and doing well. I have no doubt it's because of her mindset. It's because she takes life less seriously, right? She prioritizes just flow and lets things go and just comes back to enjoying life. And so this is your invitation to do the same, to take the pressure off and take life a little bit less seriously, trusting your desires and allowing them to emerge as they come up. And it's as simple as that choice. So if you resonated with today's episode, don't forget to press follow or subscribe wherever you are listening or watching, and send this to someone in your life who might really need to hear this message, who could take life a little bit less seriously. And finally, leave a rating or comment wherever you are listening or watching on Spotify or YouTube. Again, all of this would really, really mean the world to me. And just a quick announcement before I leave you today, I am very excited to share that I am hosting my very first retreat in Costa Rica at the end of January in Santa Teresa. This retreat is going to be at a beautiful retreat center called Recenter, right in the rainforest down the road from the beautiful beach in Costa Rica. There are 12 spots available and signups are open now. This will be filled with daily yoga, mindfulness workshops, exploration of the rainforest and beach. And most importantly, this is an opportunity for you to reconnect with yourself and step away from the busyness of your everyday life to get the clarity and alignment that you might be looking for. So if you've been desiring a little bit of solo travel, an in-person experience, this 4-day retreat is for you. And I would love to have you there. Again, only 12 spots. So save yours now. You can find the details linked in the show notes. And I will see you all again soon on your journeys to living this life fully.